Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous consent request.
Gentleman from Louisiana is recognized.
Seek unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter dated January 12, 2021 by Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry, where he decries all political violence and calls for an end to that and asks for respect for all political viewpoints.
Without objection.
Another thing we can examine because he's not here. Very good.
No, you can
Thank
examine
you.
it. It's a document. He's going to
No,
enter into the
examine
record.
him for what he wrote and the intent behind what he said.
Well, I would
But-
just,
okay.
I would
Go
just
on.
point out that that's unanimous consents are for documents, and we got the document
Mr.
right here
Chairman,
that he handed to you.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask unanimous
The
consent.
chair now recognizes Ms.
Mr.
Wasserman
Chairman,
Schultz for her 5
I have a
minutes.
unanimous consent request, Mr. Chairman.
Pardon?
I have a unanimous.
Oh, okay. Gentlelady is recognized for unanimous consent request. Without objection.
Another
so
thing
entered.
we can examine because he's not here.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Benny. I've spent my entire professional career in politics and in journalism and reporting, and man, watching the political world up close, there's one thing that you definitely learn. It's that politics is pain. You better have a thick skin if you are going to be in this game. It is not for the faint of heart. It is not for the feline. It is not for the estrogen-filled. It is certainly for people who have rock-solid ribs and iron spines. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what does that mean? Does that mean that women can't be in politics? Actually, no. In fact, people like Margaret Thatcher make for the best politicians. What it does mean is that you better not be a total You better not be someone who's a little You have to be able to stand up for yourself, and you've got to be able to behave and comport yourself in a way that's going to deliver something for your constituents and not just make you look like a complete insane person. And unfortunately, the entire Congress is filled with insane people and mentally ill people. There's a major mental illness problem in our country, and that's put on display, ladies and gentlemen, in our next clip. Our next clip is from a wonderful hearing this week, a weaponization of government Oversight Committee headed by Jim Jordan. During this committee hearing, a member of Congress, his name's Mike Johnson, he's going to introduce a letter from one of the people who weren't able to testify fully that day. So these committees, they call in testimony from individuals, and if you can't testify, you can send in a letter or something to be introduced essentially on your behalf. That's what's happening here. It's normal in Congress. But Stacey Plaskett, our favorite non-representative from the Virgin Island, the so-called representative, didn't like that and ended up throwing the paper back into the face of the member of Congress.
From Louisiana is recognized.
Seek unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter dated January 12, 2021 by Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry, where he decries all political violence and calls for an end to that and asks for respect for all political viewpoints.
Without objection.
Another
so
thing
entered.
we can examine because he's not here. Very good.
No, you can
Thank
examine
you.
it. It's a document. He's going to
No, examine him for what he wrote and the intent behind what he said.
Well, I would just,
Okay.
I would just point out that that's unanimous consents are for documents, and we got the document
Mr.
right here
Chairman.
that he handed to you.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask unanimous
Chair
consent.
now recognizes Ms.
Mr.
Wasserman
Chairman,
Schultz for her 5
I have a
minutes.
unanimous consent request, Mr. Chairman.
So Stacey Plaskett. Oh man, we love ourselves some Stacey Plaskett. So exactly what happened here? She chucked a letter back into the face of a GOP congressman during a hearing. Do not try to mansplain me. This is, of course, Stacey Plaskett, our favorite non-voting member of Congress. Stacey Plaskett, the so-called delegate. That's what her Wikipedia had on it before it was scrubbed. Many people tell me in emails and direct messages after I outed her because she called Matt Taibbi and Schellenberger so-called journalists. It turns out that she's actually just the so-called delegate she's projecting there. Many people told me that she's like a CIA plant, essentially, from the Virgin Islands, and all she does is sit there and look over people who are offshoring their money, and she's just a total goon. Members of Congress continue to embarrass themselves, acting out like teenage girls at a cheerleading competition. It is truly humiliating.
This is about
Look at this kind of stuff.
A condemnation of anti-Semitic remarks. When you have a member of the Republican caucus who has talked about Jewish space lasers and an entire amount of tropes, and also elevated her to some of the highest committee assignments in this body. This is about targeting women of color in the United States of America. Don't tell me, because I didn't get a single apology when my life was threatened. Thank you.
when my life was threatened. AOC wasn't even in the building during January 6th. Such a humiliation. Rep Jamal Bowman, does he have hormone blockers in his system? So much estrogen in this video. This video proves once and for all that it's absolutely not a gender thing, that the feline hormonal nature of the congressional meltdown can be had by men and women alike. This is Jamal Bowman, member of the squad, sitting here having a menopausal meltdown inside of the halls of Congress, just yelling and acting the fool. So utterly embarrassing. People who can't stand the heat, you got to get out of the kitchen. If you can't tolerate the war zone that is politics, you shouldn't fight in it. This is just like plainly obvious. It creates really embarrassing situations that, you know, the left thinks are owns, but it actually comes off as just really
And I want to add, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
Yeah, you can have 15 more seconds, and then we'll...
Ooh, I'm speaking. And it's not just Mike Pence. Now, somebody taught Kamala to just do that. Whenever she's losing in a battle, whenever she's losing in an argument, just go, I'm speaking.
I'm going to go to the border. And
when are you going to the border, Vice President?
The administration has asked... I'm not finished. I've said I'm going to the border.
Okay, I'm not finished. It doesn't matter if you can yell and be more emotive and be angrier than the other person. That means you win the argument. And you see this all the time, especially in the worst politicians in America.
If you protect climate change, will you act on your words and reject fossil fuel money in the future in your campaign?
Yes, I do not. I have money for people who work for fossil fuel companies. I am so sick. I am so sick of the Sanders campaign lying about me. I'm sick of it.
I agree with you with Sanders on the positive.
Ah, yes, and we all remember Joe Biden at the Union Factory in Detroit before they said, hey, it's COVID-19 pandemic, everyone shut down events. Joe Biden has dementia. Watch.
Countless hours under the Trump administration, I'd like you to explain how you plan to not only keep us working, but how you intend on getting the union vote when there's a large portion of the union workers that are gun enthusiasts, and you are actively trying to diminish our Second Amendment right and take away our guns.
You're full of shit.
All right, thank you.
No, shush. Shush. I support the Second Amendment. Second Amendment, just like right now, if you yell fire, that's not free speech. And from the very beginning, I have a shotgun, I have a 20 gauge, a 12 gauge, my son's hunt. Guess what? You're not allowed to own any weapon. I'm not taking your gun away at all. You need 100 rounds.
So when you were with Beto, when you said you're going to take our guns,
I did not say that. That's not true. I did not say that.
It's a viral video.
It's a viral video like the other ones they're putting out there. It's simply a lie.
Your voice, you said that you're taking the guns.
Well, he just clarified it. Wait. Take your AR-14s.
Okay, this is not okay. Hold on. All right.
Hey, let's don't tell me to go outside.
There's a lot of guys, wanted.
I'm not worried.
Hold on.
Give me a break, man. Don't be such a
You're
worried
pushing
guy.
up on me.
Hey, there's a lot of Hey. Look, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Are you able to own a machine gun? I said, are you able to own one? I'm the law.
Machine guns are illegal.
That's right. So AR-15's illegal.
How is that in the machine guns?
No, it's not.
Semi-automatic.
Yeah, do you need 100 rounds? Do you need 100 rounds?
In America from handguns, and there are what you call assault rifles. Why are you advocating for assault rifles when people are dying by handguns?
Ultimately, you don't want this energy.
I'm really shaking right now because I just had a man approach me in a parking lot.
Really?
And it went fine. And I'm going to tell you why it went fine and how to address it, because it was in a book I read, and this is how you're supposed to address it, but it scared me.
What are you supposed to do?
I'm literally shaking.
You're shaking.
So this guy, I am alone with my son, by myself, a woman, and
you're not by yourself.
male approached me in a parking lot. He's, excuse me, miss, and I don't know why in the hell he was approaching me or what he was trying to do. And before he was probably 30 feet from me when he said, excuse me, ma'am. And I turned around and I literally yelled at him. And
Wait, so the guy was 30 feet from you and he said, excuse me, ma'am?
I said, do not approach me.
I think maybe you might be the problem.
And he immediately started going in the other direction. And I just kept saying it over and over and over. I said, do not approach me. Do not approach me.
Was that just the sound of your kid in the back seat? So you're filming all this while your kid's sitting in a hot car?
And he, of course, like, got like, what the F, like, he started cussing and yelling, like, what's your problem? And I looked at him and he started,
what is your problem?
Actually then crossed a couple cars down from my car, and he didn't come anywhere near me. He crossed a couple cars down from my car and was like, continuing to cuss and say, what's your problem? And I said, you do not approach women in a parking lot. I just kept saying, do not approach me. You do not approach women in a parking lot, like yelling it. No male should ever approach a woman in a parking lot.
Okay. Got that? Hear that? Equal rights and everything, right? Except for you're not allowed to talk ever to women. And they're allowed to take documents and chuck them back into your face and pick their fingers in your face and scream and yell at you. And Jamal Bowman is on home run blockers. We think that's confirmed at this point. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have the ability to stand the heat, you must get out of the kitchen. Politics is a war zone. You must be able to fight. You must have a thick skin. You must be a warrior. You must be able to take a punch. You must be able to not have a glass jaw that shatters every single time that your fragile emotions overrun you. Oh, how will we ever survive AOC being mad and sad in this country? This is what's the most terrifying, is that we are now being led by a bunch of people who let their emotions rule over them and not their logic, not their sense of reason, and not their better angels. That's a real problem. People that are just passing laws based on emotion, that's not going to end well. That's going to be very, very bad for this country. So we got to fight against it. Ladies and gentlemen, more fortitude, more reason, and more calm people in politics. Certainly what we need. Don't get a paper cut. It's your boy Benny, fighting for you. See ya.
Thank you for watching. Our channel's here to meme the libs until they cry, and then to meme them crying. Their tears, they taste just like sweet, delicious ice cream. Salty, too. We ridicule the establishment and the libs because of you. Your support keeps us going. So if you like what you saw, please punch the subscribe button, click like, and ring the little bell so that you know when we're live. Don't you want to know when we're live? And make sure that you subscribe to our email list just in case the plug gets pulled, as tends to happen. If you want to see more of our videos, click here or here. My name is Benny Johnson. Stay free, base patriots.